What's going on, guys? This is Martyrs Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Dark Souls PvP. Alright guys, we're back at it in the forest, and actually I'm going to have a series of matches between myself and good old Woodchunkz. Now this is a Rumble in the Jungle, so basically all I'm going to do in the Rumble in the Jungle series, basically just going to talk about his build and kind of what's going on. I'm pretty sure you guys may be somewhat familiar. Now, nothing really special about the build that I'm particularly using. I'm just using my regular Leo Ring build, for which, I kind of do a lot of medium rolling builds. Now, every now and then I'll try to use my fast rolling builds, but for some reason I really like my medium rolling Leo Ring variations. Now, what exactly do I mean by Leo Ring variations? Well, I have more than one. As a matter of fact, I have this one, and I have another one, which is basically my Crystal Magic Lioness build. I also have a fast rolling Thief build. Now, it is not necessarily a build dedicated to the Leo Ring, because like I just said, it's a thief. So, it has the option to use the Fog Ring, and it also has an option to use either the Leo Ring or Hornet Ring, depending upon what mood that I'm in. Now, that fast rolling thief build, you guys are actually going to see a little action with that build. Because I am going to be doing a 3-part series with me in the forest. And actually that vid should be uploaded really soon. That 3-part forest video will showcase, and actually in part 1, it will showcase my Crystal Magic Lioness build as a forest hunter. Parts 2 or 3 will showcase my fast rolling thief that I was talking about. Right, and that build basically only focuses on rapiers and daggers. Nothing stronger, right? That's my thief build. Alright, so like I just said, he's basically going to be using the great scythe, and every now and then he may kind of mix in with the butcher's knife, as you guys can see for yourself within the first match or so. Now, one good thing about good old Woodchunkz, he really needs to be careful with regards to that great scythe. A lot of the great scythe players that I've faced, they kind of do the same thing, and I really think that that great scythe is super duper predictable. As a matter of fact, just saying that it's predictable is an understatement. That weapon is so predictable, it is almost ridiculous. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the channel, but to the extent that you are, you guys would know that I had a series of matches between myself and good old Nakumo, which is a Twitch.tv streamer. Shout out to good old Nakumo. And every time that I have fought against him, he uses the great scythe. And every time I fight him, I parry him a good number of times. So this is definitely not a weapon that I'm afraid of. As a matter of fact, I am rather comfortable with that great scythe. Alright, so he's using one of those high-speed DLC weapons. I think it's like the pitchfork or something like that, which is cool. And unfortunately, in the middle of our match, I get not only an invader, but I get a person that I summoned. So hopefully I'll get a chance to tighten up some of these guys, and that's only if they don't tighten me up first. Alright, you guys notice that? 1068 for the win. That nice counter damage. And actually, ever since the first time I noticed the counter damage potential with that greatsword, I kind of been using it. That weapon is definitely OP. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys may know, like I said before, that I have a Crystal Magic Lioness build that is dedicated to using buffs, which is actually the first time that I've ever created a build using buffs. Now, if that weapon has the potential to pop off with at least 1,000 damage on a counter, imagine the damage potential that would be there with a great sword. Now, unfortunately, that Crystal Magic Lioness build can only wield weapons that weigh no heavier than 6 units. right? That was a very tight build that I put together because basically is a 40-40 with dexterity and intelligence, and I really didn't have a lot of room to invest into endurance to be able to use some of the stronger thrusting counterattacking weapons. I mean, but it's all good. I mean, because doing it non-buffs for the counterattack. You guys notice that? 11-14 for the damage. 11-14 for the damage. That's awesome. And then at the same time, we get simultaneous kills. So GG for him. Definitely a GG. Alright. So we're back at it with good old Woodchunkz. And there's my build. Like I said before, the vast majority of my builds are somewhere between 120. Actually, I can't even say 120. The vast majority of my builds are either 125, 130, or somewhere in between. Right? It is very rare that I have, and actually I can't even say it's very rare. I have one level 100 build. But the other 11 builds, for which I have a total of 12, the other 11 builds are either 125, 130, or somewhere in between. Now, I've had some guys say, dude, I mean, I play 100 and I play 125. You know, do you really get a lot of action at 130? But dude, think about it. It's only different in 5 soul levels. So, I mean, in most cases, we're running into the same populations if you are a 120, right? Either you are invading me or I'm invading you. So, I mean, there's not really a difference. So you don't have to worry about where you still find PvP. Especially if you are PvPing in some of the quote-unquote designated dueling areas. Right? A lot of times I go to the bird, I find a lot of action. I find a lot of action here. I even find a lot of action over in the Demon Ruins because I don't know if you guys are familiar at this point. But I did a 2-part video series called Prowling the Ruins. Now, whereas in part 1, I was like level 68, in part 2, I was actually level 130. And although I was doing a few setup matches with Eric, Crying Maxis, and Plague's Bearer X, I did get a lot of invasions from other participants. Right? So, you know, that's why I always stick all my builds somewhere between 120 to 130 at most. Alright, so we're going Ultra Great Sword for Ultra Great Sword. But, I mean, one thing about his Ultra Great Sword, it doesn't appear as though he will be using a Leo ring. Right, so I might have the advantage at this point to the extent that I'm able to land a good counter. Good, clean counter. And I think he's using the Zweihander. Alright. Come on, dude, and actually you guys will notice I am two-handing this weapon because it doesn't appear as though he's doing a lot of rolling R1s or, you know, 2-hit combos. So I'm not really familiar with, well, actually not familiar, I'm not really comfortable with trying to parry this guy because he hadn't really established any patterns, right? And that's one of the things that I've talked about in a number of my videos, right? Because there's a difference between the parry spamming or the run-up method, what I would like to call, or the predicting. Like I've said several times in the past, you guys would notice if you look at my gameplay, most of the times, and actually I kind of get aggroed right here because he's not really doing anything. You know, I mean, my thing is, when it's time to fight, I want to fight, dude. I mean, low vitality or not, you guys would notice. Even though, you know, now my vitality may not be as low as his, but hey, I'm swinging to the death of it. Right? Doesn't matter, because the way I see it is only a loss. I'm not really all that pregnant. You guys watch this. I just had to slow this down. Look at this lag. I'm clearly going to avoid this sunlight spear. You guys notice that distance? But I still get hit. Come on, dude. Get off it. But you know, that's out of no fault of his own. So you get a good GG. Alright, now here's a random right here. And actually this guy really got on my nerves because I invaded him in the past, right? And I was tightening him up pretty well. So what happened was, in the midst of me tightening him up, he used a divine blessing. And then on top of that, he tried to pass it off as he was using one of those, whatever that whatever that consumable you use to kind of fix that, whatever kind of head that is that you get. I can't even really remember at the time, but whenever those kind of half human, half worm looking things kind of get a hold of you and your head change, vermifuge or whatever that thing is called. So I could clearly see his vitality bar going up, which is an indicator of him using divine blessings. So I jumped off the ledge. I'm like, dude, come on, we're in the Moonlight Butterfly. I am not getting ready to go to this. So he's like, dude, you're a bad sport and all this other stuff. Right? It was a vermifuge. So I'm like, come on, dude. But see, my thing is, I'm not going to argue with the dude. I clearly saw his vitality going up, even though he tried to pass it off as something else. So I guess at this point, he's trying to so-called teach me a lesson. And at this point, I'm kind of ticked. Right? But if you notice, he's just going to keep drinking his little ridiculous divine blessings. Now, with it being this type of area, it's annoying, but it is what it is because you cannot avoid these type of guys. The best that you can do is either, one, block them on your PSN. You don't have to worry about fighting them again. Or you can just not summon them again. So it is what it is. Right, so I'm just kind of going through this process of fighting this annoying fighter. Alright, so I'm going to give him a quick BS for 1,000 damage. And I missed the counter, and actually I was hoping to connect because I think if I would have connected that perhaps I would have ended his life. Now hopefully good old Woodchunkz will see that I'm dealing with a slime ball and he'll help me tighten him up. But I don't know, we'll see. Okay, and this guy's not even all that hot while he's sitting up here with all his divine blessings. Come on, dude, with your parry spamming. You stink. Yeah, that's right. Keep running into that ultra great sword there, pro. Keep running into it, pro. Right? And I'm getting ticked off. Usually, whenever you see me shaking my weapon or shaking the shield, and look at him, trying to get in some little sneaky wins. This guy is a piece of you-know-what. So I'm kind of wondering, like, Woody, you see what this guy is doing, but, at the end of the day, it's none of his business. So I guess that's why he's like, hey, that's your fight. I'm not jumping in. It is what it is. I guess it comes with the territory. Right, and I can almost guarantee he's going to gesture. What'd I tell you? Come on, dude. How are you going to point when you... Ugh. My rage meter is building up. Let me just kind of shut up about it. Oh my God, that annoys me. Come on, dude. Don't point at the ground like you some kind of hotshot that taught me a lesson. You didn't do anything, dude. You stink. Like yesterday's trash. Alright, so we're back at it. Great scythe action. And actually he's lagging a little bit, but it's not really that bad. And the reason why I say he's lagging, you guys can kind of notice the periodic skipping that he's doing. Actually, I don't know how he got out of that counterattack because at least on my screen, it looks like that was the perfect timing for a counterattack. But, we're good for the 2-shot for the win. 1,006 damage. So I won't complain. It kind of comes with the territory. Sometimes you get a clean hit. Sometimes it appears to be clean on your screen, but for whatever reason, they get out of the damage. So, it's a part of the game. Part of the price of business, right? It's part of it. Win some, you lose some. Alright, so he's back at it with the pitchfork action. And he's going to fall. Right? That's kind of like a funny weapon to wield. But it's actually a thrusting weapon. So I think I might have to use my high-speed pitchfork with my Leo ring. Right? Kind of mix up the weapon selection there. Alright, so I didn't get any counter on that first hit. I was hoping to, but he kind of hit me first. So I only got the standard 400 damage, 437, based upon my stats and also his armor selection. So, it's good enough. But, whenever we're using the halberd, we like to get those good mid-600 damage, right? We like to inflict that good mid 600 damage, and just like right there. Actually, it wasn't mid, but 611 is good, even though he was able to beat me to the punch. Alright, let's see, what do we have going on here? Woodchunkz is back. Now, I have another 1v1 Rumble in the Jungle series. And actually, I don't know, maybe I want to be more accurate and call it a Battle of the Builds. There's a guy that I'm going to be fighting, and actually, I don't know if I'm going to put it together for Saturday's uploads or maybe Saturday or perhaps even Monday at the latest. But he's basically going to be playing a Bleach character. I'm not really familiar with Bleach. From what I've heard, it's some kind of anime type of deal. I think it's like Ichiro or something like that. I'm not really familiar. For all of you hentai / anime enthusiasts, I'm pretty sure you guys may be familiar with the main Bleach character. But that guy beats the crap out of me, right? So I think that might be a good sight to see for a lot of you guys who like to see me lose, right? That'll definitely be a sight to see. He's using the Chaos Blade in addition to the Moonlight Greatsword. And the guy beats me up so much because he does a lot of those R2 charging attacks, both one-handed and two-handed. And as a matter of fact, he does them so often that, I mean, I can't even avoid it. 1070, well actually 1177 damage. That was a perfectly timed counterattack. Alright, 413 for the win. We're good to go. We're good to go on that counter damage. So like I was saying, and you know, I'm not saying he does it as often, you know, to the point to where I would consider him spamming, but it's definitely enough to always get me caught up. So I think that would be a good matchup. And as a matter of fact, he's one of those high-speed Japanese players. I mean, I know, you know, some of these guys are kind of haters with regard to Japanese, because one thing I will admit, a lot of the guys that do a lot of 3v1s and some of these other tactics that I have played, they just so happen to be Japanese players. But it's definitely not enough for me to go to the point of getting rage. I mean, I know some of these guys, you know, especially, unfortunately speaking, you know, especially when you're kind of on these Twitch streams, I kind of hear these comments and it's like, come on, dude. I mean, the way I see it, there's a lot of crappy players, you know. And you can't even say Japanese American. I mean, because being crappy has nothing to do with where you're from. I mean, that's just kind of has something to do with what your intentions are at the time that you're doing it. Right? I mean, because think about it. Some guys may play me and say, yo, Brigade, you're crappy. I'm far from Japanese. Right? So I'm not willing to lump a whole bunch of players together. But what I will say, there's a lot of times when I'm in the forest and I'm hitting 3v1s and some of these other things, and hey, they just so happen to be Japanese. But like I said before, it's not enough for me to lump a whole group of people in one unfortunate basket. Right? Especially when you run into guys like Rikui or Rikiyu, I think that's how you pronounce it. I mean, I don't want to mistake his name, but it's, like I said before, it's definitely not enough to lump everybody, because when you play guys like him, I mean, he's far from playing cheap, and that guy will beat the crap out of you, especially when he's using that anime-themed build. And as a matter of fact, I run into a lot of guys, Japanese players, who have tied me up a number of times. Right? So, like I said before, it just all goes to demonstrate that you get good and bad players from any region. It has nothing to do with region. It had all to do with the person's intentions at the time that he's playing. And other factors. You know, maybe some guy, I mean, think about it. Some of the guys, when I did my trolling videos in the forest, they may have think I was crappy. Right? But I'm not even Japanese. Right? I mean, so it is what it is. So enough about that. I won't go into a rant. You know, it's just kind of enough for me to say that, you know, sometimes it kind of get disturbing when you listen to some of the comments that these people make, right? But enough about that, right? We're back at it with the butcher's knife. All right, so let's see what we have. Doing 700 damage, and actually I executed that R2 a little too early to get that Leo Ring counterattack, but I was hoping to. right? Counterattack damage always looks good. And actually, he could have BS'd me right there. Well, speaking of BS, it's good to go. You guys notice that? Trying to hit him off with some of those unlocked R2s. And actually, I thought I would have got him on that explosion, but actually he beat me to the punch. And you guys notice his vitality bar is rather low. So, I mean, he kind of got off with a whim. Right? He almost died. Definitely almost died. But it's all good. Right? Get a good win in the, get a good check rather in the win column for him. And you know what? I actually haven't even used that weapon too often. Right? The Obsidian Greatsword. I think I might kind of dedicate a build to it. Just can't really decide what kind of build that I would create. I ride 981 for the damage. Counter hit looks like. And that goes to demonstrate that it seems to be different levels of counter, right? Because if you guys would notice, if you paid attention several times, in some instances I hit him for 900 for the counter. In other instances I hit him for damage above 1100. Right, so I think I have reason to believe that there are different levels of counter damage. Alright guys, well this is pretty much it for this Rumble in the Jungle series. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So stay tuned for the next series of videos that I will be uploading. Thanks for supporting. If you liked, go ahead and like and subscribe. Alright guys, Martyrs Brigade.